The president himself has called without qualification for the report to be made public. There is no reason on God's green earth why Attorney General Barr should do any less.
Senate Minority Leader there, Chuck Schumer, using the president's own words to react to the news that Special Counsel Robert Mueller submitted his report to Attorney General Bill Barr. Let's bring in Democratic strategist Antoine Seawright, former senior advisor to Hillary Clinton's campaign, and attorney and conservative radio talk show host Chandelle Summer. With a welcome to you both. Antoine, you first here, because AG Barr wrote in his letter to the Senate and House Judiciary leaders that he may be in a position to advise them of principled conclusions as soon as this weekend. He intends to consult with the Deputy AG Rosenstein, also Bob Mueller, to determine what other information can be released to Congress and then subsequently the public. Should Democrats be comforted by these indications, or do you think they should be bracing for a fight?
Oh, I think they should definitely be bracing for a fight. Look, Donald Trump does not appoint anyone who will not be loyal to Donald Trump, regardless of what he may say. At the end of the day, I think Republicans and the president want to play hide and go seek, and the Democrats want transparency. And so we should be very clear and upfront about what we want. Thank God for the midterms, because now we have not only a Democratic Congress that can haul people in for investigations and to further flush things out, but we also have the Southern District here in New York, in which we will, I'm sure, hear more from in the coming days and weeks. And so I'm just bracing myself for a fight. The Republicans have set precedent about releasing information per the Devin Nunes memo. And so I think that we should just buckle down. I do want Democrats to be very careful about how we deal with this politically, because we cannot take our eye off the ball and assume that this is going to change the hearts and minds of people who voted for Donald Trump.
What about you, Chandelle? I mean, we heard some Trump allies. They were certainly celebrating the conclusion of Mueller's investigation yesterday, specifically Congressman Mark Meadows, among those who said in a tweet, cheering the absence of a collusion-related indictment. Are they celebrating prematurely, though? Because we do not know what the report found. We do not know if other indictments could be coming from investigations that have spun off of the Mueller probe.
I think it's unlikely that you'll see indictments coming out of the Mueller probe, and I think it's unlikely that you'll see any type of collusion. What I think you'll see is President Trump playing the martyr from here on out. This will be the subject of numerous speeches that he gives going into the 2020 campaign concerning the fact that we've spent millions and millions of dollars on this investigation and that there's been no collusion found whatsoever. I think if there was collusion, for some reason my gut instinct tells me it would have leaked out, and the fact that there's no indictments is a strong signal that they didn't find anything.
Alex, we went from collusion, there's no collusion, to when there was panic and in the Republican Party, collusion is not a crime. Now here we are celebrating, doing toe touches and victory laps because we assume that something in the report says no collusion. What we don't know is what we don't know. And so I think we should all just sit tight, put our seatbelts on, and enjoy the ride until we know what we know.
Well, no one has... No one's sitting tight.
But what about, other indictments that could spin off? That was the second part of my question from the Mueller probe. You don't expect any?
There's possibly the Julian Assange connection. And, of course, Roger Stone is out there waiting to be tried. But I think everything that has spun from this investigation has already been indicted. You've had, 34 people charged, including the Russians. So I don't see that you're going to have any further indictments, which means likely that Trump is not going to be indicted. Even if he was indicted, or if there was some suggestion that he had done something wrong, Attorney General Barr has said he doesn't believe a sitting president can be prosecuted. He can be impeached, but he can't be prosecuted.
There lies the problem. And keep in mind, what you don't know and what none of us know is what else may come as all the other pockets of we have out here doing investigations, like the Southern District of New York, like the Democratic-controlled Congress. And so I think it's premature to give the benediction to this scenario just because the report is released. And I think it's laughable that Republicans are doing victory laps about it.
But you know what, Antoine? No charges against Donald Trump Jr. nor Jared Kushner in
Not
this
yet.
report.
Not yet. Well, again, there's some ongoing investigations happening still, and so we just don't know what we don't know. And again, we do not know what's in the report that could lead to further flushing out of these people possibly being indicted by another entity.
Alex, I think that the vulnerability for President Trump lies in the hush money payments. to Stormy Daniels, if there's going to be an indictment, it'll probably have something to do with campaign finance reform.
Interesting point. What about the Republican leaders, Chandelle? I mean, last night they were joining calls for as much transparency as possible. What does transparency mean to them? Is it conditional on the conclusions? Because Democrats want to see all the evidence that led Mueller to reach the conclusions in this report. Yet House Intel Committee Chairman Adam Schiff even floating a subpoena for Mueller if needed.
I think transparency to the Republicans means that Attorney General Barr releases conclusions about the report and not necessarily the detail. And the problem is that when they do memos concerning the reason why they're declining to prosecute someone, they put in a lot of information which may just be rumor, innuendo, it may be libelous, it may be things that don't need to be released to the public.
Yeah, but, can I ask you about the don't be released to the public? Because you made the point that the president's going to say, look how many millions of dollars this cost, right? The American people paid for it. Don't they deserve, if they want to, and certainly surveys and polls have shown that the American public wants this released. Don't they deserve, because they paid for it, to see everything?
Not necessarily, because of the fact that you're dealing with individuals. You're dealing with individuals who are accused of crimes or not. And the idea is that you can't go out and just put out false or defamatory information about people just because they're public figures. You have to have some basis for doing it, and if they're not indicted, they shouldn't release all of the gory details. The public doesn't have to have that kind of information to find out that there was no collusion.
Alex, you can rest assured, if it was the roles were reversed and this was anything to do with Barack Obama or any other Democrat, the Republicans will be breaking speed limits, running political stop signs to ensure that this information was released to the public. And I'm sure if it was the roles were reversed, it would have been released the same time period in which the report was issued. So let's not fool ourselves, and let's not play this whole game of hypocrisy that the Republicans tend to play.
What do you read, Antoine, in the fact that Mueller wrapped up this investigation without interviewing the president?
I think that he wants to do his job. I think that, first of all, I think he's trustworthy. And I think that regardless of what the picture the Republicans tried to paint, I think Mueller is very trustworthy. And I think that perhaps there was nothing in his findings that would force him to interview the president. But again, we do not know what other entities may be involved in what they're doing. And so I just don't want to give the premature benediction to this entire process just because his report was released.
Chandelle, timing-wise, how soon do you think AG Barr is going to release his findings or his notes, his memorandum to Congress?
I think it'll be this weekend or Monday. And then I think that they'll release the report to the public, or at least the portions of the report that they're going to release early next week. And then, you know, get ready for a couple of years, maybe, of talking about this further and calling it a witch hunt, discussing the enormous amount of funds that has been used. and then also the fact that Donald Trump will definitely talk about how he's been persecuted this entire time without cause.
I hope legislative oversight will take its course, and I hope the Democratic-controlled Congress will do everything they can to provide transparency in an environment in which Republicans want to play hide and go seek.
All right,
the only thing that Democrats could do that would be worse is to start impeachment process, because that, again, would be an enormous waste of money. And we've already spent millions of dollars on this investigation.
And it's a waste of time for Republicans to even start that train.
We're going to wrap it up for now. I'll see you again, no doubt. Thank you so much.